Hi, I'm Anil Gupta. I'm a field engineer at Imply. Imply enables real-time self-service analytics at scale to our customers. Now, before I dig deeper into Imply, I want to ask you a question. If you're looking to do some research, where do you start? A library with a bunch of books or Google? If you're like me, you use Google. Why do you use Google? It's fast. It's really fast. It's really fast. It's really fast and it's flexible. Once I get my first question answered, invariably I end up with additional questions, and I can do those follow-up questions right there in Google. Now this has huge value to me. It makes me a lot more productive. Now, why is this relevant? Imply is a fast analytics platform powered by Apache Druid. Imply and its underlying engine, which is Druid, support fast data ingest and fast data querying. Users get to work with up to the millisecond data, and they enjoy query response times of milliseconds to seconds. That means they're more productive, they have a much better user experience, and they're happier. Druid is a high-performance columnar database engine. Druid's creators founded Imply to combine Druid with powerful visualization, management, monitoring, and security capabilities. Imply is meant for hot data use cases. These use cases are generally characterized by the need to ingest data, potentially at very high scale, very fast. Twitter's MoPub subsidiary ingests over 100 billion events a day, or over 1.1 million events per second. These events give mobile app publishers and developers visibility into advertising bids, clicks, and views, all in real time, so they can make decisions on advertising strategy. It gives companies placing ads the ability to review ad performance and make changes on the fly. Data can come in via streams like Kafka or Kinesis, or it can be ingested in batch from S3, Google Cloud Storage, Hadoop, Azure Data Lake, and other locations. Now, we all want our questions to be answered fast. Druid is purpose-built for fast queries. We ran the star schema benchmark this year and found that Druid was up to 14 times faster than BigQuery, which itself is one of the fastest cloud data platforms. A third party ran a benchmark in 2019 and found Druid to be about 50 times faster than Presto and Hive. How much happier would your users be if their queries came back in a third of the time, a 14th of the time, or a 50th of the time? Not to mention, they'd also be a lot more productive. Let me tell you a little bit about our company's background. Imply was founded in 2015 with funding from Andreessen Horowitz, Geodesic Capital, and Coastal Ventures. We're headquartered in the Bay Area, and we have employees across the Americas, EMEA, and APAC. Our customers are global and run across many verticals. Some key customers include Amazon, Apple, Atlassian, Twitter, Visa, Walmart, and more. Our technology is a full-stack real-time data platform, and the engine of this platform is Apache Druid. We serve a variety of use cases across industries. For example, retailers use Druid to make sure that there aren't any anomalies that would suggest an issue in a store, on a website, or in the supply chain. Banks like DBC use Imply to combat fraud by feeding ML tools from Imply and enabling end users to analyze data within seconds so they can decide whether to let a transaction go forward or not. Network operators like NTT use Imply to monitor their networks and be alerted on issues that need to be fixed. Large manufacturers use Imply to monitor defect rates so they can take action as quickly as possible when anomalies occur. Imply serves a number of customers across industries, from small startups to large enterprises. In retail, we serve Apple, Amazon, Walmart, Overstock, and Instacart. Other major industries and companies like Cisco, Visa, and Sony are also using Imply to make their organizations more intelligent. The Imply real-time data platform enables a level of speed and scale that's a game changer for our customers. Enabling sub-second response times requires a new, unique set of building blocks. We start with the data sources at the bottom, including data lakes, message buses, and data warehouses. We have point-and-click connectors that enable you to start loading data immediately and create ongoing data loading tasks. Our data engine, Druid, is designed for fast investigation of data, not just for reporting. Whether the data just came in milliseconds ago via a stream or is from 2 years ago, the users get millisecond to second response times. We've purpose-built an interactive data explorer called Pivot to work well with this low-latency, high-skill data engine. Users can have a conversation with their data. Once their first question is answered, they can quickly dig deeper to answer the next 10. They can also create real-time alerts that go to Slack, email, or wherever else they need to be consumed. Pivot's Explain feature enables users to automatically get insights on very low-level data. We built a management, monitoring, and security capability set to make the system very easy to manage and scale for the enterprise. Imply Manager makes managing the environment a simple, low-overhead job. Clarity helps you guarantee that your users are getting the user experience they need by helping you understand and troubleshoot any system performance issues. Since a number of this conference's attendees are from financial services, I'm going to show you a demo of a real-life financial use case. In this case, it's fraud prevention and anti-money laundering. All banks spend significant resources combating fraud, including fraudulent transactions and money laundering. Combating fraud is challenging, and there's a big trade-off. Banks need to stop fraudulent transactions, but it's also critical to avoid impeding good transactions and causing problems for customers. The banks that Imply works with, including DBS, typically screen transactions initially using an ML model. Transactions that can potentially go either way are sent to investigators who need to make decisions quickly, ideally in under a minute. Having fast access to data makes this possible. Imply uniquely supports anti-money laundering and fraud prevention efforts by providing users with real-time visibility into data, regardless of the data scale, as well as the ability to slice and dice data fast so that SLAs can be met. Time is literally money, and speed matters. So let's go ahead and look at the demo. Now, the demo I'm going to show you is based on banking transactions that we generate for a fictional bank. They come in via Kafka into Imply. We're initially going to look at Imply Pivot, and we're going to see how an end user can, in a single dashboard, see all the data they need for a particular customer in order to greenlight or stop a transaction that looks like it could be fraudulent. Later on, we'll look at Imply Manager and Imply Clarity. Imply Manager enables Imply customers to manage their Imply deployment with single clicks. You can single click upgrade, you can increase your capacity, you can add configurations, all with minimal overhead. We'll also see Imply Clarity and how Clarity enables customers to make sure that their end users are getting the best possible experience. Let's switch over to Pivot. Now we're in Pivot. Pivot implies ad hoc user interface. I'm a bank investigator, and it's my job to take transactions that have been flagged as suspicious and quickly determine whether I should let them through or stop them. Here I see that a transaction's come in from a customer named Jane. The transaction came in the last hour. I'm going to click on Jane's account and see the history of her transactions. Right now we're filtered to the latest hour. I'm going to send that to 30 days. So when we filter on the past 30 days, we can see that it's actually common for Jane to send money to KY or the Cayman Islands. So we can let this transaction through. Now, what if I want to do a more ad hoc analysis and figure out exactly how my customers behave and also get an understanding of whether a particular customer is more likely to have suspect transactions? Let's go ahead and set this back to last hour, and I'm going to take this suspicious trend and drill into it. Now I'm in what's called the data queue view, and this is a pure ad hoc environment for me to understand my data. At the left, I have my dimensions that allows me to move dimensions onto the canvas so I can group by them. So for instance, if I want to move suspicious over, I can do so. And I can see that in the latest hour, I have a small percentage of suspicious transactions. I can add additional filters here at the top. I can also filter on elements of the dimension on this side. So for instance, I can move the bank dimension over and then filter on a specific bank. I can also change the metrics that I'm looking at. So instead of looking at raw transactions, I'm interested in the overall transaction amount. And I can change the visualization that I'm interested in. By default, Pivot switches to the visualization that makes most sense for your data. But you can also pick your own visualization as you like. Now, it's the suspicious transactions that we're most interested in, so we're going to go ahead and select them. The next thing we'll do is see who's behind these suspicious transactions, so we drag the name over. This is just the latest hour of transactions. Let's pull back to a bigger period, 7 days, maybe in 30 days. And now I start seeing a different picture. It's actually Jeff Gates that has the most suspect transactions. So I go ahead and select Jeff Gates, and now I can filter on him, or I can hit explain. What explain does is dig into the details of Jeff Gates and see where he might have a lot of these transactions that are marked as suspicious. So the destination country code PK is where most of these transactions are going for Bill Gates. Sorry, for Jeff Gates, that is. Let's go ahead and filter on this value. And let's go ahead and actually select Jeff Gates and focus on him. Now we can drill down into the data further. So maybe I want to look at the origin country code along with the destination country code. You see that Pivot's, first of all, giving me feedback instantly. And second, it's automatically adjusting the visualization to what makes sense. I'll identify the origin bank as well as the destination bank. Essentially, I can drill to any level of detail that I need to understand my data. As you can see, as an investigator, I can very quickly analyze the incoming data up to the millisecond and make a determination on any particular transaction. Further, I can drill into my data in much more detail to figure out, are there particular customers who seem to be associated with suspicious transactions? And are there particular routes, country code to destination country codes, that have unusual transaction behavior? And I can use that information to tune my model to make sure that suspicious transactions are flagged more effectively, or to keep a watch on particular customers. If I want to keep a watch on particular customers, one thing I could do is put them in a dashboard. We saw a dashboard before. Another thing I could do is actually set up alert. So now we're in an alert configuration, and all my filters from my analysis fall into this alert. And essentially what I can do is set an alert on the amount. It can be on a growth from a prior period. It can be a percentage change. And then I can deliver that alert via a webhook. It could go to Slack, it could go to email, can go to any system that accepts webhooks. So now, whenever a suspicious transaction occurs for Jeff Gates, I'll automatically be informed. So we've looked at Pivot, which is Imply's end user interface. You can, of course, use any end user interface you wish with Imply. A lot of our customers use Tableau, Looker, and other BI tools. Some customers deliver reports that come from Imply's data to their own customers via a custom UI, such as one built with React or another web framework. Even if you're not using Imply Pivot, Imply has a lot of value to add to your real-time data and fast analytic needs. So here are two examples. One is Imply Manager. An Imply Manager allows you to watch the health of your cluster and also make changes to your cluster. So for instance, here I can see that I have 3 data servers, 2 query servers, and 3 master servers. You don't have to necessarily worry about right now what all that means. The key thing to note is that I can, with no downtime and just a couple clicks, upgrade to another version of Imply. Imply will take care of all the background work necessary to update your entire cluster. If you're using Imply Cloud, you can also do things like change your instance types and change your instance counts. So not only can you upgrade your environment, you can also scale it, all without any downtime whatsoever. There are also a number of configurations you can apply when using Imply. And in this case, by the way, we have an AWS S3 deployment. And you can add those configurations right here. It's very, very straightforward to manage the environment from here. Further, you can go ahead and check the health of your servers, view server logs, restart individual servers, and make sure everything's running smoothly. Now, that's the management aspect. What about monitoring? You're working with the fastest analytic database in the world, and you want to make sure that your users are getting fast query speeds. Imply Clarity helps you understand and assure that your end users are getting the best user experience possible. So for instance, I can take a look at slow queries and understand what's going on with them, right? Here are my query IDs. If I select particular slow queries, and this is using the same pivot interface, so it should feel very similar, I can see that my slow queries come from the campaign tracking and banking transaction data sources. You can think of these as tables. So there might be some optimization that I need to do there. I can also take a look at my historical queries, my real-time queries, and I can zoom into them, like you see here. Now, there's more. Imply and Druid are multi-layer architectures. They're query servers, they're master servers, and they're data nodes. If there are performance issues, you're going to be able to use the information clarity to isolate them to one of those layers and direct your troubleshooting. It might be that with growth in your environment, you've actually exceeded the capacity of your query nodes or your data nodes and have to increase the capacity in those areas. Of course, you can do that all with Imply Manager. But the bottom line is that clarity essentially gives you the visibility you need to make sure that your environment is running optimally. Let's go back to our slides. So we've taken a look at Imply Pivot, Manager, and Clarity, and we've talked about a number of use cases for Imply in general and fast analytics on hot data in particular. The next thing to do is get started. If you go to imply.io, get started, you'll be able to download a full copy of Imply and install it in your environment and get going. Using simple wizards, you can quickly point to data streams such as Kafka or Kinesis, or import data from batch systems such as object storage like S3, Azure Blob Storage, or Google Cloud Storage. At any rate, whatever your use case, it's very easy to get started using Imply. Thank you so much for your time. Now I'm ready to answer any questions you might have.